Hello, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at responsibility and ownership of self, another principle of the self-awareness behavior domain. This can be challenging work because as you move into a mindset of responsibility and ownership of self, that's where the buck stops. When we reach this point, this is when we move out of the safety cocoon of being a victim. This is when we move out of the safety cocoon of playing the blame game. And all of a sudden, it's not about them, it's all about me. It's about what's inside me and how I use who I am in relation to my work, in relation to all those around me, and in relation to the rest of the world. But know this, you are not the first person to make this journey. You are one of many, all trying to figure out where we fit. You are unique and amazing, and you have incredible potential to make a positive difference in yourself, your team, your organization, and in the world. As an influential leader, you cannot ask others for their best until you first invest the necessary time and effort to be your very best self. Influential leaders look within themselves to acquire a new skill set and a new mindset. You are creating the habits that will lead to a new mindset, a mindset that is positive and energized and continually strengthens its ability for discipline, agility, and resilience. To do this, you need an open mind and heart. You must relax and receive without burden. You must take responsibility and ownership of yourself. And as you gradually become more self-aware, you will find yourself faced with thoughts and feelings that are perhaps not serving you well. Worry, frustration, anger, malice, jealousy. Any thoughts or feelings that are negative in nature do not serve to strengthen you, either emotionally, mentally, or physically. It is important to understand that everyone has those kinds of thoughts and feelings, and they do not mean that you are bad or wrong. Many people, in fact, are pre-wired for the negative and are completely unaware of the self-harm that results. And that is why self-awareness and the skill of positive presence is so important. There is a power within you just waiting to be called upon. It is your inner strength, and it is living and it is powerful within you. You can be assured your inner strength is there. Expanding your inner strength takes you on a journey of the mind. It leads you to new ways of thinking, new perspectives, and a new vision of the world around you. And like any skill, it can be developed, but it does take constant practice. And just like exercising muscles at a gym, exercising your mind builds your inner strength, and so too your cognitive strength. Inner strength is needed for doing a good job, for success in business, for studying, losing weight, exercising, maintaining good relationships. It's needed to change habits, self-improvement, meditation, spiritual growth, keeping promises, and for almost everything else. As your inner strength expands, so too will your willpower, your self-discipline, persistence, focus, and perhaps most importantly, as your inner strength expands, so too will your peace of mind. To do this takes practice and quiet time. That being said, you have that time right here, right now, and I will guide you through a very simple and time-efficient mini-med, which I've adapted from my friend Dina Proctor's 3x3 at www.dinaproctor.com. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Welcome to the mini-med for expanding your inner strength. For these couple of minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably. And as you let your body settle in, let yourself feel your shoulders relaxing. Let yourself feel your thoughts releasing. And allow your body, your mind, and your entire being to find a place of complete stillness and relaxation.
feel any tension, any thoughts that no longer serve you, just melt right out of your body and your mind. As you settle into that place of calm, stillness, I invite you to get in touch with what it feels like when you're inspired and you're feeling that place of inner guidance and inner strength guiding you. You are never alone. There is always that inner place of power, peace, and wisdom that you can tune into and be strengthened and nourished from. Allow yourself to settle into that space, to be held, to be nourished, to be inspired by the power within you that's greater than yourself and much greater than any circumstance or situation that's going on in your life. Getting in touch with that place of peace, power, wisdom, and inner strength helps any problem or situation pale in comparison. There is nothing that this place of highest wisdom can't handle. So let yourself feel that infinite wisdom, that peaceful strength grow and expand and saturate every level of your body and of your being right now. Feel it expand. Feel it nourish. Feel it bring gentle wisdom and peaceful strength to every level of your being. Now, let your body take one last breath in right now, feeling that peaceful inner strength embodied and anchored in every level of your being going forward. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? Across from you? What sounds do you hear?
Here again is the equation of life. E plus R equals O. Life is full of events, but in reality, life is really about choices. Success in life, at home and at work, is not determined by the events you experience. Success is determined by how you respond to the events of life. Your choices, not your circumstances, define what kind of a person you are and will become. The important thing to remember is that we are not defined by events. What defines who we are is how we choose to respond to the events. Every day you make choices about how to respond to the events and situations you experience. Really important life events are lived at the point of a spear. These are the defining moments of truth, as some thought writers refer to them. These are the life-changing events. These are the times you find yourself in a circumstance or situation that you must respond without the help of others. Hence, the choices you make at the moment in these events define the direction of your life. It's a fact. Big E's call for big R's. The more challenging the event, the greater the demand for your response. The more important your response is. In fact, these situations often occur during times of significant change, crisis, or opportunity, and they require non-standard responses. These are the times when, to respond effectively, you must call upon your deepest capabilities and courage and go beyond your normal limits. Think about this. You will not make things better by complaining about your circumstances. Being lazy and doing nothing is a choice that produces an outcome. Today's outcomes are tomorrow's events. If we want to produce more positive events tomorrow, then we must respond more effectively today. Do not be surprised at the challenging events of life. Your life at times is going to be full of unpredictable and undesirable change and adversity. Be prepared for it. Accepting responsibility and ownership of self means hard work and preparation. During the difficult and painful events of life, it is particularly important to respond wisely. Circumstances don't make or break you, they reveal you. Accepting responsibility and ownership means staying true to your core values despite difficult circumstances. It's doing the right thing even when you are tempted to bend a few rules for expediency's sake. Above all, it entails owning up to the consequences of your decisions and choices because there is no choice without accountability. And as a matter of fact, it's also the best antidote for feeling victimized by circumstances, freeing up precious creative energy for you to accomplish what's really important. We have the power of choice to live a life of meaning and purpose. Circumstances cannot make this distinction for us. So do not make a difficult situation worse by responding poorly. Be prepared for it. Martin Luther King said it poignantly. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. This slide is taken from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read this book, it's probably in your library, and it's worth the read. There are a lot of very powerful truths here. Act or be acted upon. Past experience, present circumstances, people in our lives, personal weaknesses, we are touched by these things, but not determined by them. It is precisely because of these things that we must take responsibility. We are not prisoners of our past. We are not prisoners of our environment. We are able to choose and we are able to change. No one has a perfect life. All of us have some kind of difficulty in our past or present, and some have had very traumatic things that have happened to them. But difficult things, even traumatic events, aren't legitimate reasons for not taking responsibility. They are the very reasons why we should take responsibility. One could even make the case that the more severe the difficulty, the more important it is to take responsibility and respond wisely to the situation. The research of Jim Rohn, Jack Canfield, and other thought experts reveals a distinguishing characteristic of consistently successful people. They all have the ability to maintain a positive and proactive attitude regardless of the challenge of significant life events. Turns out that highly effective people think differently than less effective people. Their thinking and operating mental models are typically deliberate, disciplined, intentional, focused, engaged, and thoughtful. A proactive response is motivated to produce a positive and optimal outcome. You now know that positive presence is the skill of adjusting and creating a positive and energized mindset within ourselves through conscious thought processes, and that the measurable result indicative of our skill level for positive presence is reflected in our choice of behavior. We've also talked about the enormous advances over the last decade or so in neuroimaging technology, which has awakened us to the benefits of positive energy, for an increased capacity for achieving peak performance, for building and maintaining good relationships, and for experiencing good health. But how, you may be asking, is this really relevant to my work? And why is it important now and not so much in the past? What is it about today's work world that makes it so much more important now than ever before in business history? The reason is we have left the days of the industrial and technological revolutions behind us, where productivity and efficiency was almost totally dependent on process efficiencies of getting the job done. In today's knowledge-based society, organizations are more and more made up primarily of knowledge workers, those whose job require formal and/or advanced education and are considered people who think for a living, bringing their specialisms together for a common purpose. According to Peter Drucker, whose groundbreaking work turned modern management theory into a discipline, the best example of a predominant knowledge workforce is that of the modern-day hospital in all developed countries of the world. In these organizations, characterized by extreme levels of complexity and ambiguity, success is often made even more challenging by public sector bureaucracy, as well as fiscal and demographic pressures. The global workforce has changed employment patterns in all developed countries forever. Workforces of knowledge workers are becoming more and more the norm. The demands to perform at a continuously high level of excellence and the pressures of increased complexity, ambiguity, and rate of speed can be overwhelmingly taxing on even those people most advanced with the skill of positive presence, even on those people that are innately equipped to create a positive and energized mindset in spite of the environment within which they live and work. Not only that, as we move from the knowledge era to the era of what is being referred to by some as the age of connectivity,
or the human age,
the understanding of and ability for human connectedness becomes increasingly important.
scientific evidence is showing
That when we are in a positive flow of energy, we are experiencing positive thoughts and feelings. And it is then that we are able to really connect and mesh within ourselves and with others. The more time we spend in a positive flow, the greater our capacity for achieving the focus and clarity needed for peak performance, for achieving the love and tolerance needed for building and maintaining good relationships, and for achieving the peace and joy needed for experiencing good health. The positive mindset of an influential leader sees and acknowledges the discomfort and difficulties of a challenging situation, but is constantly looking for solutions and opportunities to obtain the most optimal outcome. Focusing on a solution, looking for an opportunity, diminishes the emotional trauma of any situation. Your thought habits are part of a cause and effect relationship between what you believe to be true about the world around you and the coinciding mental models and patterns your brain creates to align with those beliefs. Taking responsibility and ownership of self requires a constant re-examination of these thoughts and beliefs to ensure you are operating with the most effective mental model possible for a high-performing behavior. How you view adversity and stress strongly affects your success, and this is one of the most important reasons that having a positive, resilient mental model is so important. We cannot improve our behavior and performance unless we are managing our behavior and performance. We cannot manage what we are not aware of within our own mental model and behavioral habits. Hence, sustainable personal change to drive high performance behavior requires recognizing our habits, understanding how those habits impact and affect people around us, and then taking consistent, deliberate, and disciplined actions to change and improve. Influential leaders live in a constancy of purpose fueled by having settled the issue on the matter of change. They are absolutely assured that change is possible, change is good, change is necessary, and they constantly bring their thinking into agreement with this truth, and that becomes self-evident in their daily behavior. Consequently, influential leaders replace fear and doubt with optimism and assurance. Resentment and frustration are replaced with enthusiasm and motivation. By choosing to focus on the positive aspects of change, even change that is extremely difficult, influential leaders create positive emotions that propel themselves and their followers to higher levels of performance excellence. Nathaniel Branden, who died in December of 2014, was a Canadian-American psychotherapist and writer known for his work in the psychology of self-esteem. He said, "There is a tendency for most people to explain feelings of happiness or unhappiness in terms of the external circumstances of their lives. They explain happiness by pointing to the positives. They explain unhappiness by pointing to the negatives. The implication is that events determine whether they are happy. They take little or no responsibility for their state of mind. Bad stuff and failure happens all the time, but we cannot allow who we are to be defined by circumstances. Yes, it's emotional, but that is precisely why we must take responsibility and ownership of our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and our actions. We are not prisoners of, nor do we need to be controlled by, the events of our past. We are able to choose and we are able to change. So our future is decided by how we choose to think about these things rather than the impact of these things in and of themselves. These events are just that, events. We are the response. We get to choose how to think and behavior in relation to the event, in relation to the challenge. Think about this. Thoughts of fear and doubt create circumstances of failure and blame shifting, whereas energizing thoughts create circumstances of hope and accomplishment. Hateful thoughts create circumstances of strife and conflict, whereas forgiving thoughts create circumstances of peace and reconciliation. It is easy to be inactive or reactive because they are the path of least resistance. It doesn't require much effort to be indifferent or react with anger. Inactive and reactive responses are also habit forming. They become easier to repeat the more you engage in them. Our habits are part of a cause and effect relationship between what we believe to be true about the world around us and the mental models we create to align our behavior to those beliefs. The mindset of an influential leader focuses on the opportunity within the problem by being proactive. Develop the proactive discipline. We all have our favorite activities that permit us to avoid the tough, complex issues of personal transformation. We cling to routines. Sometimes we are locked into and held back by habits of mediocrity and by the excuses that protect them. Nothing changes until we do. The good news is that being proactive is also habit forming. The more you discipline yourself to be proactive, the more that habit becomes the way you respond to the circumstances of life and work. Robert Kelly said, "Average performers have specific habits and patterns that drag them down, that impair their productivity and effectiveness. They are clearly weak in key areas. Further, their weaknesses tend to be habitual and unchanged." Being proactive is a function of ownership of self. We are responsible for our own lives. As human beings, we have the capacity to be proactive. We can either focus on the things that we can actually do something about, or we can focus on things over which we have no control. Doing the latter will without a doubt add stress and worry to our lives. When we waste time and energy worrying about things beyond our control, our sphere of influence shrinks. When we invest time and energy on things we can control, our sphere of influence expands. Think about it. What do we have the greatest amount of control over? Ourselves. Unfortunately, we tend to invest far too little time in self-management. Many people spend much more time complaining about circumstances and other people than they do managing themselves and developing their ability to respond more effectively to the events of life. As humans, our natural tendency is toward the circle of concern. That's the area over which we have no control. Because throughout our early evolution, it was important for humans to put their attention to the area of unknown, to scan for danger and threats. And so it depends on where we are in our journey to higher level thinking. It depends on how much effort we place on looking within. Today, however, we can't control the economy, the weather, the traffic, a company merger, or an endorsed change at work. As we react, we tend to focus on the circle of concern, which depletes our energy because we have no control over it. The energy focused on the circle of concern is negative. If you focus on the circle of concern and neglect the circle of influence, eventually the circle of influence will get smaller. This will add to feelings of stress and helplessness because you cannot change anything in the circle of concern. A typical example of focusing on the circle of concern, rather than focusing within on the circle of influence, might be: consider that a big change initiative has come down the chain of command at work, and it affects the process in an employee's work routine. If that employee spends time worrying about whether this change will create more responsibility for him or negatively impact quality, he will be wasting his energy and sink into a negative spiral of helplessness over something he has no control over. The process change is happening regardless. However, if he talks to his manager to learn how he might work differently to mitigate responsibility or to ensure a high quality deliverable, he will be proactively directing his actions towards things he can influence and build positive energy at the same time. The circle of influence is the area that we have control over. This is where we must focus in order to be proactive. When you focus on the circle of influence, you take action. When you do this, the circle of influence gets bigger. When you act on your circle of influence, you are able to reduce stress levels and increase happiness because you can initiate and influence change within you and around you. When you do, you are creating positive energy in your life, at home and at work. Dr. Rick Hanson, in his book Hardwiring Happiness, says, "To ensure survival, our brain evolved a negativity bias, making it like Velcro for bad experiences, but Teflon for good ones. So when our focus is on things over which we have no control, those negative thoughts tend to be strong and lasting. The good news is, every one of us has the ability to rewire through the neuroplasticity of our brain for a positive flow. And even better, unlike most everything else as we age, our ability to do this, if we have a healthy mind, does not diminish with age." Don't get caught in the excuse trap. Making excuses is a really, really bad habit, and it takes a bit of work to break this pattern. But when you choose to avoid the excuse trap, it provides you with the ability to adapt and bounce back when things don't go as planned. Influential leaders don't wallow or dwell on failures. They acknowledge the situation, learn from their mistakes, and then move forward. The mindset or thinking model that is in contrast with the mindset of responsibility and ownership of self is a blame shift and excuse-making mental model. Far too often, struggling organizations fall into the trap of accepting excuses for average or low-level performance, rather than taking initiative to solve the problems that are at the root of the poor performance. These organizations sadly become very adept at finding ways to cope with problems rather than solving them. The excuse mentality has a way of screening out of all evidence of responsibility, accountability, and initiative. And we often fail to take responsibility because we lock in our excuses and lock out why we are accountable. So, for example, past experiences, not being selected for a promotion, present circumstances, the recession and high unemployment, people in our lives, my parents, my boss, my spouse, personal weaknesses, procrastination, compulsive habit. According to the research of leading psychologist Susan Kobasa, there are 3 elements that are essential to avoiding the excuse trap. Challenge. When people are accountable to self and others, they view a difficulty as a challenge, not as a paralyzing event. They look at their failures and mistakes as lessons to be learned from and as opportunities for growth. They don't view them as a negative reflection on their abilities or self-worth. Commitment. Accountable people are committed to their lives and their goals, and they have a compelling reason to get out of bed in the morning. Commitment isn't just restricted to their work. They commit to their relationships, their friendships, their causes they care about, and their religious and spiritual beliefs. Personal control. Accountable people spend their time and energy focusing on what they can control, their responses to events. Since they put their efforts where they can have the most impact, they feel empowered and confident. Those who spend time worrying about the uncontrollable events can often feel lost, helpless, and powerless to take action. So, are you change capable? Leading and managing in today's world requires specific kinds of leadership attitudes and behaviors. The complexity, ambiguity, and relentless lightning pace of demands places gigantic pressure on business leaders in every industry. More often than not, leaders are working incredibly hard and yet feel that they are not meeting their own expectations of excellence. They are left overburdened and disconnected from their own values. Nevertheless, amid these overwhelming circumstances, leaders are expected to make fast, rational decisions with a focused, clear, compassionate, and creative mind. As an influential leader, your goal is to build strong relationships that will make your organization adaptable to new strategies, initiatives, and innovation, balancing the impact of change on your people, their processes, and their performance. The question is, therefore, how are you responding to the change and chaos, and the stress that accompanies both of them? Change is inevitable, and so too is your resistance to it. Developing the awareness and creating the necessary thought and behavior habits that rise above the chaos is a must in order for you and your organization to thrive, to grow, and to sustain a high level of performance excellence. An understanding and awareness of your 20 square feet, that part of you that is energy rather than physical matter, is a critical piece. You can assess your personal energy flow through your feelings. Feelings such as happiness and optimism can be linked to a positive energy flow or coherence. And feelings such as anger and frustration can be linked to a negative energy flow. Your brain tends to match feelings to your pre-existing thought patterns. So realistically, you can create new thought patterns to match your feelings too, and in essence, control your feelings with these new thought patterns. It's the neuroplasticity of your brain that allows it to create and implant new thought processes that are healthy and productive for you. The healthy and productive thoughts are the positive and energizing ones. And this ability lies within each and every one of you. No matter who you are, no matter how smart you are, no matter how old you are, no matter the life circumstances you find yourself in, no matter the work environment you find yourself in. Yes, you are change capable. We must be very careful about the thoughts we allow in our minds. Our thoughts affect our emotions and our behavior. Consequently, we will always feel the way we see and think. If you want to change your feelings, all you need to do is change your thoughts. Thinking is an active process that you should manage so you see and think in ways that get you what you truly desire. Simply put, your behavior is the physical manifestation of your thoughts and feelings. You are developing the necessary habits that will give you the ability to take a good look inside yourself and become aware of the thinking, the mental patterns, and all the habits that are driving your behavior. The research has been done, and the science has confirmed that thoughts of fear and doubt create circumstances of failure and blame shifting. On the flip side, energizing thoughts do create circumstances of hope and accomplishment. Hateful thoughts create circumstances of strife and conflict. But on the flip side, forgiving thoughts create circumstances of peace and reconciliation. So here are a few key concepts to learn and apply daily as habits of your changing thinking and behavior. Be accountable. Take responsibility for your decisions and actions. When you make a mistake, admit it, fix it, and learn from it. Have zero tolerance for excuses and work to rid them from your daily behavior. Recognize and respond to defining moments by letting go of fear. Make the decision to create a positive and energized mind. Let go of the past. If you are still reacting to a painful event in the past, let it go. The first step to a better future is to give up your hope for a better past. If you persist in the particular train of thought, whether good or bad, you will produce the results of those thoughts in your behavior and your circumstances. Watch your thoughts closely. Use the mantra, it is what it is. Now what? Take ownership of your circumstances. Can you tell me why it would make any sense to willfully make a choice for disruptive and unproductive behavior and circumstances in your life when you have a positive alternative? Even if your circumstances are unpleasant or uncomfortable, You do not have to be the cause of an event to be responsible for how you respond. You are still responsible for how you respond to the circumstances that you did not create. Focus on what you can control. Your time and energy is too valuable to waste on the other stuff. Change circumstances when possible. Change yourself when necessary. Change yourself. Don't complain about a problem, rather take action and solve it. Our world is full of complainers and whiners. What we need are more problem solvers. Be a problem solver. Focus on what you can control, not on what you can't. There are some things in life over which you have no control. Do not waste valuable time and energy on things beyond your circle of influence. Focus instead on what you can control, beginning with yourself. Develop the habit of asking the proactive question. Ask yourself, given the outcome I want and the event I am experiencing, what response on my part would be most effective? Or, am I clear about the goal I'm pursuing? Do I see the situation clearly? What are my options for taking effective action? And finally, and most importantly, face the brutal facts. Ask others, how do I need to change? And now, just a final word about self. Sustaining personal change to drive high-performance behavior requires you to take responsibility and ownership of self by recognizing your habits, understanding how those habits impact and affect the people around you, and then taking consistent, deliberate, and disciplined actions to change and improve in a way that creates positive, life-giving energy within you and within every person touched by you. About others. Healthcare organizational teams require strong personal relationships that can hold up under the chaos and confusion. This means recognizing and taking ownership of your personal habits, and then understanding and responding to how your habits impact and affect the people around you. It becomes crucial to hold yourself, your colleagues, and all those you work with accountable for effective and productive behavior. And about your organization. In healthcare organizations, you depend on teams of highly skilled professionals to synergistically work together across organizational boundaries to reach goals. You need clear goals and objectives to ensure productivity is not diminished by the chaos and the confusion that will ultimately result in ineffective and dysfunctional behavior. It means collectively taking deliberate, disciplined, and consistent action to continuously change and improve. Working on your individual strengths and how you interact with others, your organization, and the world around you requires a special kind of focus, a dedicated and disciplined focus that is not diminished by the complexity, the chaos, and the fatigue. This kind of focus takes practice, lots and lots of practice. Some of us come pre-wired with a laser-like focus, but for the most of us, our brains must be trained to focus. In fact, brain research on concussive injury has identified that even the slightest of concussions has the potential to impair the ability to focus, resulting in the necessity to retrain the brain for focus. Adapted from my friend Dina Proctor's 3x3, we will take a few moments to listen to a mini-med for super focus. The music that accompanies the mini-meds is a type of brainwave music. Brainwave music has been proven to move a person into a more positive mental and emotional attitude. The clip that you are hearing is typical of the theta brainwave state, which has proven benefits such as a deeper connection to one's emotions, increased intuition, greater levels of energy and relaxation, enhanced self-awareness, and a greater ability to enter into a highly focused, effortless learning state. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath.
Welcome to the mini-med for super focus. For these couple of minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably, and as you let your body settle in, let yourself feel your shoulders just relaxing. Let yourself feel your thoughts releasing. and relaxation encompassing your entire body and mind. As you settle into the feeling of relaxation, allow an image of a goal or something you'd love to manifest come into your mind. It can be something simple that you can accomplish today, or something you're looking to accomplish in years to come. Let your mind hone in on the detail of what it is you'd like to create. As your mind hones in, let yourself feel that you're getting completely encompassed in what it is you want to create. You have the power and the knowledge within you to reach and exceed this goal. What would it feel like to accomplish this goal and get it done? What would that feeling feel like in your body? What would it feel like in your mind to have accomplished this goal? Feel the energy, the wanting, the inspiration from within to devote all of your focus into manifesting this goal. You may feel your energy increasing. You may feel your creativity slowly increasing, or even becoming very clear on what you want to create. Notice any inspired ideas or intuitive thoughts that come to you in this state. Notice yourself feeling relaxed yet energized, inspired deeply from within, and incredibly focused and motivated to achieve your goal. And now, let your body take one last deep breath in, knowing that this energy and these thoughts are grounded and present in solution and love, moving you forward.
Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? What sounds do you hear? We are now going to take time for reflection. This reflection time is referred to as table time because this exercise is created to be shared with a discussion group of your peers. Feel free to gather around a table with your colleagues or head over to Corporate Harmony's virtual discussion group. This is also a time to stay focused on task. Be present in the moment, right here. You will see notes pages at the end of the manual section for personal use in gathering insights and questions as you move through the material. So take time to put pen to paper. There are never any wrong or bad answers. Seeing your words on paper allows your brain to open up to even greater possibilities. Putting your thoughts and feelings to words on paper opens your mind to your inner wisdom and greatness. Enjoy this time and share your insights with the discussion group. You will find this slide on page 17 of Chapter 3 in your manual. Next session, we will be looking at the fourth principle of the self-awareness behavior domain, discover your primary behavior domain. And you'll learn even more secrets about what makes you and everyone around you tick, and how you can live each day in joy, peace, and harmony within yourself and with the people around you. So, until then, live each moment of each day with harmony and purpose, and allow your grandest dreams to come true.